Hello and welcome to Harden, which is actually in North Wales, just on the border with England, and we've been up here to visit friends, just doing the walk around ready for our flight. And what I'm going to talk about today is the kind of engineering that has to be done on India Victor, the kind of maintenance program we follow, the number of checks each year and everything else. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
My aeroplane's annual maintenance check is due, and as well as performing all the routine tasks, the engineers are going to be fitting a new low-cost gadget, which is going to save me loads of time and possibly money too. Stay tuned to find out all about that.
I never scrimp on my walk around, always having a look at everything here, looking at the undercarriage, making sure nothing's come loose, nothing's cracked. Check for oil leaking.
Just as I finished doing the walk around, I happened to notice a crowd gathered on a vantage point near the runway here at Harden, and I realised that one of the airport's resident aircraft has started up.
I don't know if you can see this. If we just peek through this fence here, you might just be able to see a very large cargo aircraft, the Beluga. And it's this base here at Harden is where they, I think, build the wings for Airbus aircraft, and they have to ferry the parts between here and Toulouse in France. And the Beluga's over there. It looks like a whale. So I'm wondering if that's going to be departing anytime soon. What an utterly absurd looking aircraft it is. I don't know if you've seen it before, but I've seen them around here a little bit. They are very, very strange looking aircraft. And there's a Beluga in the sky as well, so we're going to be treated to one landing and one taking off. Wow, that's cool. It's an enormous thing, isn't it? And just quite stunning to see it take flight. And according to flight radar, the inbound is on the 2 mile final now, so we'll get a treat to that. This is brilliant. I really wasn't expecting this today. Victor, November 1, ready for departure.
Golf India Victor, surface wind 280 degrees, 4 knots, runway 22, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, runway 22, Golf India Victor.
So I'm departing for Elmset in Suffolk in the east of England, where my maintenance organisation is based.
Okay, power set, T's and P's are in the green, airspeed's increasing.
A runway big enough for a huge cargo jet is more than plenty for my tiny Piper Arrow here. I could probably take off, land, take off again, and land again multiple times.
Golf India Victor, contact Harden radar 120.055, good day.
Harden radar 120.055, goodbye, Golf India Victor. Harden radar, Golf Bravo Mike, India Victor, passing altitude 1,300 feet for altitude 2,200 feet.
Golf Bravo Mike, India Victor, Harden radar, good afternoon, identified on departure to traffic service, the QNH is 1018, and just confirm your altitude you're climbing to.
Traffic service, QNH 1018, climbing altitude 2,200 feet, Golf Bravo Mike, India Victor. So we're going to talk today about maintenance. This aircraft's 1977, and it takes a lot of maintenance to keep it in the air. And the good thing about these Pipers is they're a known quantity. They've been flying for years. Some might describe them as bomb-proof. You know, at what point are they going to start not being serviceable? I don't know. But right now, they're doing amazingly for their age. And that's partly because of the maintenance programs that they're on, and all the experience, the special, the service bulletins, the airworthiness directives, keep them safe and keep them flying. And if you compare these aircraft to, say, some of the more modern ones, a lot of the modern aircraft seem to be in and out of the maintenance hangar more often than they're flying. But yeah, these ones, I've had this was maintained, it had its annual last November. It went in for a 50 in April, so that's 50 hours.
Go from your Bravo, turn
50
right,
hours after its last check, it went in for another check. No problems at all, and then we're coming up to its next annual. And I touch wood if there was any. I've had absolutely no problems with it, and I think that's a testament to the way Piper made these aircraft.
So I'm going to fast forward to my arrival at Elmset now, where the engineers are waiting. Because I want to learn more about my aeroplane, I've even offered to help them this time make a start on the annual. Landing at Elmset couldn't be more different from my departure airport. From Harden's huge mile-long tarmac runway, Elmset is a farm grass strip that's on a pronounced slope. And so today, because the winds aren't too strong, I'm going to be landing upslope with a slight tailwind. So the engineers are just wheeling India Victor into the hangar now. While they do that, I have to fill out my logbook so that they're up to date, ready for the maintenance. And when you own or operate an aircraft, you will soon come to realise that you've got loads of records to keep. You've got the engine book to keep, the aircraft logbook, the propeller logbook, and of course your standard sort of tech log book, as well as your sort of pilot's logbook as well. And every flight has to go in here. And the problem with that though is of course that you're having to add up hours and minutes. And I don't know about you, but I found that really hard. And I'm always making mistakes because you've just landed, you note down your hours, you try and fill out the logbook quickly, and then you realise that you've missed an hour or added an hour unintentionally. And you'll see here, if you look in my logbook, so I go back 3 months, you'll see that I've had to start making corrections because I found out a few weeks ago that I'd filled in one of these entries completely incorrectly, and I had to go back over 3 months of records to work out where the error occurred, where I'd entered it incorrectly. And that took forever. And then I had to go through all of the records that followed that date and correct them all. And as you can see here, it made an absolute mess of my logbook. But it's vitally important that these logs are up to date. Now, if only there was an easy way to do this, maybe even an automatic way to log the hours on your airplane. Well, a company got in touch with me just recently to say that they have a device that does exactly that. It basically takes care of all of this for you so that you don't have to do all this adding up and record keeping in the way that we're doing it here, and it's going to be accurate and avoiding all these headaches that I'm having. And we're going to fit one of these magic boxes to my aeroplane today. CloudBaseGA is a small data logger. Once installed, it silently records when you start up the aircraft, when the brakes are released, when you take off, when you land, and so on. As we'll see later, it uploads that data to a cloud server which completely automates your tech log. For a private owner like me, it removes the headache of having to manually record my flights and eliminates errors. Where CloudBase really comes into its own though is at flying schools, flying clubs, groups or aircraft shares. Just last week I met up with Jamie Brown from the South Coast Flying Club at Shoreham, which operates a Cessna 172 and this PA-28. Like me, before fitting CloudBase, everything was being done manually.
Originally, before I joined the club, there was a cash box in the club room, and people would put their checks and they would put their cash in the box, and trying to reconcile who had paid what for what flights was incredibly difficult. We had a paper tech log in the aircraft and relied on people completing that accurately at the end of each flight. We had some issues sometimes. If an aircraft had a flat tire or something went wrong, we wouldn't know who had actually put that in there potentially. There was all kinds of issues with the record keeping and the governance side of actually making sure the information was current and accurate.
With 50 to 100 members at any one time, billing pilots for their flights used to be a major headache. Someone had to go through the month's tech logs and raise invoices manually. Now that all happens automatically. And what's more, whereas the old system relied on pilots being accurate and honest, now there's no doubt what was flown and by whom.
The manual billing before CloudBase was at least a day's work. It was based on the paper tech log that used to be collected, and the bills were sent out at the beginning of the following month. So we were offering members credit effectively. If you flew on the 1st of the month, you wouldn't get your bill until probably the 7th of the following month, and then had 7 days to pay it. So we were offering people 6 weeks of credit, which in these days is quite a luxury. CloudBase has now allowed us to incorporate Stripe payments, and we have pilots that pay immediately following the flight. So as soon as they complete the tech log, there's an option to pay now, and they can pay with their debit card, credit card, however they like.
I'm making a bit of a nuisance of myself in the hangar at Aero Anglia, wasting their time pretending to be an aircraft engineer.
God, I've probably taken about 10 minutes to do a job that you would do in a flash. How's that?
Yeah. I wanted to get my hands dirty to become more closely acquainted with India Victor. I have some plans for the future which may see me have to do a 50-hour check, and I wanted to learn the basics. More about that in the coming weeks. But with the inspection panels removed and the interior now stripped out, we can install the CloudBaseGA data logger. So we're going to fit the data logger,
Yep.
Aidan. They reckon it should take no more than a few hours. What other tasks are we going to have to do? What do we need to do?
Okay, looking at the instructions, we've got to run a power supply to the back of the aeroplane where the unit's going to mount. There's a convenient space on a tray which is normally used for avionics there anyway, so that should be okay.
Obviously this is quite difficult for me to show you because there's not much space in there for me to get a camera as well as Aidan and all his tools, but basically he's trying to find a spot in this little bay here at the back of the aircraft that leads down to the tail section where there's the battery, some of the autopilot controls, some of the avionics equipment, and he's basically trying to attach the CloudBase device back there.
Solder on the plugs, mount a little antenna on top of the aeroplane and tidy up all the wiring. That should be about it, and test it of course, and do the paperwork and certification. Signature of the aircraft owner is on the bottom there.
That seemed to be pretty straightforward actually.
Yeah, it didn't seem to take
what do we reckon,
long.
what, 3 or 4 hours at
Yeah,
most?
I think 3 to 4 hours. If you'd done it before, you would do it quicker the second time because it's just how these things go.
The unit comes with all the relevant paperwork, instructions and approvals. The box is free. The company just charges a very reasonable monthly fee plus a very small charge per flight. In terms of the time it's going to save you, the headaches, the accuracy of your records, and if you're a group, the ability to charge pilots automatically, it really is a no-brainer. This is the way forward. So let's see if the new CloudBaseGA logger is doing its job.
And so I'm flying to Blackbush, and we've got the data logger from CloudBase working silently in the back, logging my flights, and it has been for a few days now. So we're going to land at Blackbush and see how that's doing, seeing how it's logged our flights, and find out how useful it really is going to be.
I've come to Blackbush because it's the home of one of CloudBase's first customers, Blackbush Aviation. The flying school runs its whole operation, its bookings, the aeroplane records and so on CloudBase. Well, I'm here with Ben Moss now, who's from CloudBaseGA, and that little box has been sat in the back of my aeroplane quietly doing its business, and you can show us now what it's been up to.
Yes, exactly. So I can see that you've done 4 flights since your aircraft's annual was completed. You flew in this morning, you landed at just before 10 a.m. and we saw that your brakes on time was just before 10:03.
Wow, and it's actually to the second. I landed at 09:57 and 59 seconds, and it's even got a little map as well showing exactly where it's parked.
Yeah, exactly.
So I can see.
You can't lose it.
Not that I would easily. How does that help me? Obviously it's saving me making a mess of my logbooks and saving me time, but it can save me money as well, can't it?
Absolutely. So maintenance obviously is all done on flight time. At least that's the legal requirement. And so if you're using tack time or you're using Hobbs or some other approximation, you'll be actually burning through your hours quicker. And so with this recording your precise amount of time in the air every single time, and for a group aircraft regardless of who flies, this will guarantee to save you money.
I think this is a game changer. A cheap, easy to install magic box that takes away some of the pain of operating a light aircraft. I've been flying with CloudBase in my aeroplane now for a few months, and it's flawlessly been keeping accurate records of my flights. My logbooks are no longer a work of fiction, and my engineers can keep tabs on hours and defects by logging into the system remotely. If you want to know more about CloudBase, contact details for them can be found in the video description. Thanks for watching this episode. If you want to see my flight back to Red Hill, it's a bonus video available on my supporters club right now. In that video, I talk about a really scary air prox I had in India Victor last summer. Before I go, just a quick final word from me, if that's okay. You might not know this, but as well as producing the Flying Reporter YouTube channel, I also offer video services to businesses. In recent years, I've provided professional video services for a wide range of companies, from worldwide brands to small regional businesses. Whether it be live streamed production, event videography, a social media campaign, a glossy promo, or a series of web videos, my 30-year background in TV production means I have the skill and experience to help you with all your video marketing needs. Why not book a free, no obligation consultation? We can discuss your needs, I can share some of my experience and knowledge, and if you like, I can offer a range of services to fit in with your budget. Contact me through my website today. The link is on the screen and in the video description, and we can set up a call. Looking forward to meeting you, and until next time, fly safely, my friends.